Well, I would say if you want to understand the philosophical background of the book I wrote, and we talked about this earlier, the Thomism behind it.
Yep.
Edward Feser is the person to go to, because he has just written the most clear, the most accessible, the most easy to read books on Thomism that are out there, I think.
Yep.
So his Aquinas for Beginners, best place to go, probably. His Scholastic Metaphysics, great place to go. Everything he does is great. I think that he's Roman Catholic, so obviously he's not going to, be affirming everything that we would want to affirm or agreeing with us on everything, but he agrees with us on everything that is really pertinent to these kinds of conversations, or these discussions. So he's a great person to learn from, and you will learn. I mean, I don't see how anybody could fail to learn who comes to his books with a willingness to study them, because he's such a master teacher, and he is so good at explaining things and elucidating things. So I recommend Feser for Thomism. For apologetics in general, there are so many books out there. I think that the ones the apologists that have excited me the most and moved me the most and just kind of opened my eyes to what apologetics can be at its best, I'm going to say C.S. Lewis, and I'm going to say Peter Kreeft. Now,
Peter Kreeft, interesting.
Peter Kreeft is a professor of philosophy at Boston College. He's retired now. He's written a ton of books, and he's very much influenced by Lewis and by Aquinas. He's a Roman Catholic, and by Tolkien, and just the Western tradition in general, I would say. I mean, he's very knowledgeable about everything, in the history of Western civilization as far as the intellectual history goes. But he is, what I like about both Lewis and Kreeft, and what I see that they share in common, is that they have a very expansive view of what apologetics is and can be, like a much more expansive view than I take in that book that I wrote, which was kind of, a nuts and bolts kind of, bare bones.
It says introduction.
It says introduction, right? But if you look at, they attack apologetics from both they have rational considerations, they have aesthetic considerations, they have existential considerations. And I just think they do a masterful job of just showing how Christianity kind of illuminates every aspect of life, right? So it's going to, the theoretical, the practical, the ethical, the aesthetic, just every different area of life, Christianity sheds light on it and makes sense of it in a way that non-Christian perspectives don't. And I think that both of them are very masterful at that. So Lewis, of course, has Mere Christianity, which is like his classic apologetics book, but it's really his whole body of work, I think, is apologetic in a lot of ways. It's trying to show how Christianity opens up or sheds light on life, right? How it makes sense of it all. And Kreeft does the same thing in a lot of his books. He wrote a handbook. I think it's called a Handbook of Christian Apologetics. It was co-authored with another guy. I think his name was Taselli. I might be wrong, but that's a really good resource. It's a really good resource. And I appreciate both of them too, because their philosophical perspective is a classical one. So both Lewis and Kreeft are approaching this from the point of view that classical philosophy from Plato to Aquinas is more correct than modern philosophy, right? So, and I think that's true, and because they have that perspective, which doesn't say they haven't learned a lot from modern philosophers or from analytic philosophers or whatever, but I think both of them would say that like their thought is rooted in this pre-modern perspective on the world.
Absolutely.
and how it works, how it operates, how it's structured. And because of that, I think that their apologetics and their thought in general is just more consonant and more in line with the views that I myself have and think are most helpful. And I think, I was talking about how they're able to show how Christianity sheds light on everything. Well, I think one of the reasons why they're able to do that so effectively and so well is because they're committed to this pre-modern, perspective on the world. They have this pre-modern metaphysics, this pre-modern ethics, this pre-modern epistemology that I think enables that. So I think that classical philosophy and Orthodox Christianity just go hand in hand. I think that it's like hand in glove. They fit together very well, which is why this whole synthesis happened during the patristic period between classical culture and the church, and the theology of the Bible, because these things were seen to have a lot of congruence, a lot of points of contact. And I think that if you try to modern philosophy, because of its assumptions, I just don't think it connects nearly as well with the theological beliefs of Orthodox Christianity. So liberal Christianity, sure, I think that's probably a much better fit for liberal Christianity. But since we don't want to be that, and we don't want to be people that don't believe in what God has revealed, I think we should be looking to pre-modern theologians for inspiration and for guidance when it comes to these things.